I think that we've agreed upon that there is no specific causal relationship between divestment and lowering our carbon footprint. This is a movement of symbolism, of potential investment positivity, and of course, I don't think these guys have to say it, but I have to say past performance is not indicative of future results. There has been, in the last year, we were talking about fiduciary duty. There has been regulatory approval for socially and environmentally responsible investments to be in line with fiduciary duty. So that is off the table. You are in fiduciary duty if you are investing with your values. When it comes to expenses, a good friend of mine is a college president locally whose college decided to divest in the last year, and I texted him on Thursday, knowing that we were going to have this discussion, just a very, very short line. I said, quick question, are your investment management fees going up now that you've decided to divest? And he gave me a really quick answer, no. I go back to what I said earlier. If you're the customer and you say you want a particular product, you want a particular service, if they say no, if they say, well, I don't know, there are a lot of other fish. He admitted and said, there's this many out there and there's this many who will do it for you. Well, great, that just means I don't have to sort through all of these. And what's the 800-pound gorilla in the room? What's the return going to be like? What's the traditional folks tell you? They tell you that if you invest with your values, that you're going to get God, my English isn't very good here, is it? Your return isn't going to be as good. They're going to tell you that invest traditionally, and that difference you make between investing traditionally and investing responsibly, you donate that difference. It's sort of like the Catholics used to have, paying your, what's the word? Indulgences, thank you. You don't have to pay indulgences anymore. And I'm going to preface once again by saying past performance is not indicative of future results. S&P 500, last year, including dividends, up 1.25%. 3 years, average 12, 17, 5 years, average 11, 10 years, God, I cannot speak today. 10 years, averaging 6.37. We use a fund called Parnassus Endeavor, which is a fossil fuel-free fund. We underperformed the market last year by 1 full percent. But over the 3 years, we outperformed by 2. Over the 5 years, we outperformed by 1.5, and over the 10 years, it outperformed by 4% per year. Anybody who's telling you that if you pull fossil fuels out of the portfolio and that you're going to underperform hasn't looked at what modern portfolio managers can do. And has anybody seen what the cost of gas is lately? I paid like $1.80 yesterday for super. In 2008, oil hit $110 a barrel, give or take. This week it was at 33 and change. Was that a good investment? It is now if you're putting it into your car. And there is a pragmatic side to this. We do need oil in the short term. But we're going to take advantage of the low prices right now. While we're doing that, we've got to develop our other resources. We've got to be focusing on those. It's called a spider. It's a way of investing that lets you buy into one particular sector. So the energy sector, the 1-year return was a negative 21.5%. The 3-year return, an average of negative 6.25%, and the 5-year return, an average of negative 1.88. So if you put $100,000 into the energy sector 5 years ago, you got about $95,000 left. So if we put aside the moral agreement, if we put aside the ethical agreement, if we look at this from a purely investment perspective, as we see opportunities coming up, do we really want to put our bets on this horse? I know we don't, our clients don't. And when we look at, again, when we look at what the past has shown us with money managers that have excluded fossil fuels, and we take it out to 10 years even, which I think we can, you can rig the numbers if you look over 5 years, but if you look over 10 years, it's a lot harder to do so, because that takes into account 2008, which we all really sort of want to forget about. But when we start to look at these things over an extended period of time, we see that maybe it's not the best idea. Maybe we need to start looking at that positive aspect of things. And I think that's where, you know, as this moves through the presbytery, the idea of divestment has to be linked to the positive. That $55 or $100 million we're talking about needs to go into that loan fund. Because then it does have a causal relationship. If I take that $55 million out of fossil fuels and put it into the loan fund, that's $55 million worth of solar that can go on to how many churches? There is a causal relationship. And it's how you take the divestment and put it into reinvestment.